Good evening, my name is Debbie. I'm a Live for Love TV subscriber on YouTube. It's a very informative channel, so when you have a spare moment, please like, share and subscribe. Live for Love TV. Thank you.
Welcome back to Live for Love TV. Today is the 14th day of the 10th month, 22nd year inside the 21st century. Hope everyone's doing well out there. When I was a young man and used to go to the movies, there was a famous movie, a gang sort of territory movie called The Warriors. So for people of my generation and my age group, you probably remember this film because it did quite well at the cinemas. And basically it was about a gang meeting that had gone on somewhere, in America. All the gangs came together to have a peace meeting, so they stopped the gang fighting. And what happened was somebody shot the person who was actually brought the meeting together. And then somebody falsely accused a group called the Warriors. That's why the film was called The Warriors. And so they had to fight their way out because people were trying to kill them. And they got out of that particular area, but they lost their main leader. The leader at the time was a great fighter. He was a black guy, he looked big and strong, but he fought his best, but they ganged him and killed him. So the rest of his group had now to make their way across all the territories. I think it was in New York or wherever it was, but across all the territories until they could get back to wherever they came from, whether it was Queens or I don't know, Manhattan. I don't know where they came from, but that was basically the premise of the film. And long before that, but even at that time, we used to watch movies, and whenever we saw a black person in the movie, we always knew he would be the first to die. That's how it usually was. This was the days when we're not talking about the Sidney Poitiers, and these kind of actors, the big actors, but most black actors that came into movies were put there just to die. Now, that's a long way of going around to say that today, very recently, I think within the last half an hour or an hour, Mr. Kwasi Kwarteng, who is the chancellor of the exchequer, has just been sacked from his job. Now, I'm sure he's going to go down as the shortest ever chancellor of the exchequer in the UK. I think he's lasted 6 weeks. So if that was what you'd call a football match, you'd say he basically got sacked pre-season. So before the season's even started, he sacked one of not manager, but the manager of the number 11 Downing Street, which is the exchequer, chancellor of the exchequer. Now this is pretty amazing if you just hear it like that. But if you've been following it, you realize that everybody knew that in order for the Prime Minister to save her job, somebody had to be sacrificed, and he's been sacrificed. So he's gone. He's been sacrificed, and I don't know how long that gives her, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't think she has another 6 weeks. Now, you can quote me to say that I said that, but because that's what I'm saying. I really don't believe she's had 6 weeks. I don't think she'll get another 6 weeks. She's just stalling for time. But no one's going to be confident with her, because remember, wherever she sacked him about, she sat next to him at the mini budget and nodded her head and backed him up and made all the right signs. That every single thing he said, she was behind. He had to go by her to get everything through. He didn't come up with anything that she hadn't okayed. So her sacking him, to most people of any sense, knows that's completely and utterly ridiculous. If she had any credibility, she'd have resigned herself. But none of these people have any credibility. That's how they are. They just hang on as long as they can, and eventually they basically forced out by either their own party or something else happens and they just have to go. And she's in that position now. I don't think she's got 6 weeks. We'll see how long she lasts. But she's the weakest leader that I've seen in modern times. The weakest leader. She cannot stand up to any interrogation. She cannot stand up to any press, any of the press that come after her, especially these political analysts who are really seasoned in politics. She hasn't got a chance in hell. They said she modeled herself on Margaret Thatcher. Well, I must be older than her, because I don't know which Margaret Thatcher she modeled herself on. Is it the one that came into power at 1975 as the leader of the Conservative Party, and then became elected in 1979, who was 4 years going around the country proving her mettle and showing how she could argue and how she could, stand her ground and what she knew about politics. She certainly hasn't copied that about Margaret Thatcher, I can tell you that, regardless of whether you like Thatcher or not. That was a different type of Margaret Thatcher. She didn't copy the Margaret Thatcher that after her own party, including Douglas Howe, who was her second in command, turned against her and said that she had to go. And she had to come to the House of Commons and speak in front of the whole of the House. Even then, Labour couldn't get the better of her. She's on the ropes and they couldn't do anything to her. She's not following that Margaret Thatcher. So I don't know, when people say she's following Margaret Thatcher, I don't know which Margaret Thatcher is she following. I knew Margaret Thatcher was in power for 9 or 10 years. I've never seen in power for 10 years and probably the leader of the Conservative Party for about 14, 15 years. None of that period has this woman copied anything of Margaret Thatcher. Nothing. Not a single thing. Maybe she's copying her hairdo. I can't remember what the hairdo of Margaret Thatcher was, but that would be probably about it, or maybe her makeup. I don't know. I just haven't got a clue. But Kwasi Kwarteng, he's off, he's gone, and I don't know. It's amazing that these people come into these jobs with this big talk and big attitude and in the bluster, and within 6 weeks of becoming the chancellor, that is probably, the position that they say is pretty close to being the second in command to the prime minister. Normally, people come from that position and sometimes go into being prime minister, as you see Richie Sunak tried to do, as Gordon Brown did a few years ago. So it's amazing that this man within 6 weeks has to go, and she thinks she's going to have any credibility by doing that. Most people are going to look at her now and say, especially the people who are in the political know, it's just a case of tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. The clock is ticking on how long she can actually stay in that position. And for Kwasi Kwarteng, well, I don't know if he's going to go to Ghana or where he's going to go. I don't know where he's from in the UK. I don't know what he's going to do. Don't know if he's going to go to one of these big hedge fund companies or whatsoever and make bags of money since he's helped them out. But, I thought he was quite a strong sounding politician. He always backed Boris, even when Boris was basically in serious trouble. He'd come on TV and back him seriously. And that's amazing, that the way he backed Boris for those year and 2 years when Boris was in serious trouble, he'd come on every program, political programs, and speak and back Boris. And now, the first sign of trouble, no one to back him. Well, I suppose they say this is poetic justice for those kind of people. Take care. See you soon. Live for Love TV.